Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, Small Bottles, Big Changes, Washington's new mini toiletries requirement that's going into effect here coming up shortly. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrew McVicker. I'm the Communications Director here at the association. Assisting me in the background off camera today is Raquel Pace and Carly Burns, also on the communications team. They'll be monitoring the chat and the Q&A in the background and helping me out today in the background. So a couple of brief announcements before we get started with today's topic. First off, again, thank you. I can't say that enough. Thank you again for joining us today. Thank you for being members of the association. Your membership, your investment in the association is what allows us to bring you information and content like what we're doing here today. So thank you again for being members of the association. We also have a few non-members joining us today, so welcome. We're glad you're here with us today. Hopefully you'll find some information you'll find out here today to be informative and helpful for running your business. And certainly if you're interested in learning more about the association, I encourage you to take a look at our website, learn about all the many great benefits for being members of the association in terms of being able to participate in activities and events like the one we're doing here today. A couple of quick promos for upcoming webinars that we want to make you aware of as well too. Again, another benefit of being a member of the association. Exactly this time next week, we have Jonathan Herrera from another state agency, the Washington Saves program. That's a new retirement savings program that's coming online to Washington State that many employers will need to comply with next year. So we want to make sure that members are well informed of those requirements that they may be facing coming up in January next year. So be sure to tune in, register. Raquel is going to paste the link in the chat here for you. Feel free to register for that webinar on July 22nd. Again, this time next week. That is open to everybody to attend as well. Following up in a couple of weeks, we have a returning guest, a great friend of the association, allied member, employment law attorney Catherine Morissette. Will be joining us once again for the meal and rest breaks overview. This is a webinar we did a couple years ago, but this is also a very highly litigious area of law and employment law with Washington employers. So we want to bring her back again to update members on what they need to be doing to be in compliance with the meal and rest break requirements in Washington State. So don't miss out on that one. Her presentations are always fantastic, and you will learn quite a bit from Catherine. And finally, I do want to put in a plug for our somewhat newish Allied Member Vendor Directory. We launched this about a year ago. This is linked on our main website. This is the Washington Hospitality Vendor Directory. You may not know, but we have over 200 allied members of the association. These are businesses that are providing products and services to other businesses in Washington State, many that also serve Washington or serve hospitality industry specifically. Everything from legal services, human resources, facilities and equipment, guest safety, that kind of stuff. So we have, like I say, well over 200 allied members who are here to serve you with their products and services. So if you haven't checked out our vendor directory, be sure to check that out if you are in need of some products or services to help with your business. Including one that we wanted to mention here specifically today because it is directly relevant to today's topic. And as an example, Green Suites Hotel Solutions is an allied member of the association. They joined, I think, just last year or a few years ago, but they provide sustainable hospitality solutions to reduce waste, costs, and enhance guest experiences with the products that they provide. You can save anywhere from 30 to 70% on your traditional bottles and amenities with the programs that they have in place. And Washington Hospitality Association members can save up to 15% just by being a member of ours. You mentioned that when you work with Green Suites, and they'll be able to give you a discount for being an association member. So I want to be sure you take advantage of checking out their products and services in regards to the content we're going to talk about here today. Promos plugs over, just some quick housekeeping things, and then I'll turn it over to Heather. We are recording today, so this webinar will be recorded and posted to our website later this week. We'll have some additional post-production work to do, but be sure to watch your email And we will send out the recording of today's webinar as well as the slide deck and other materials later this week. So watch for your email and we will send those as soon as we can. We also have the Q&A feature enabled today. So imagine you'll have questions as we go. Feel free to type those in as soon as you have them. If you think of questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A feature with Zoom. We're going to answer those at the end of the webinar today. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Heather Church. Heather is the State Reduction and Recycling Specialist for the Department of Ecology. She is leading the implementation of the Mini Toiletries Law in Washington State, which the legislature passed a few years ago, and as she will explain, is going into effect here in the state very shortly. So with that, Heather, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Let me know when you see it.
Looks good.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Andy and Raquel and Carly and Washington Hospitality Association for having me today. I am very grateful for this partnership and to be able to present to your members and non-members. This is wonderful to be able to roll out some information on the mini toiletries and lodgings law. It's a bit of a mouthful. We usually just kind of call it the mini toiletries law. But yeah, anyways, let's dive in. We're going to start with an introduction. I know Andy just gave me one, but I'll give you just a little bit more background information. I'm Heather Church, she, her pronouns, and a waste reduction and recycling specialist for the Department of Ecology. I am the lead staff for implementing this law, and some of you may know this law previously, kind of colloquially, as the shampoo bottle law, but we are calling it the mini toiletries law or the mini toiletries in lodgings law moving forward, just so that way it has that kind of umbrella. A little bit about me. I've been with the Department of Ecology for almost 10 years, and I'm based in Spokane, Washington. So that's why I am wearing a tank top today. It's going to get hot. And my first job ever was actually in seasonal housekeeping, which I did in my college years for about 4 seasons. And it's been fun actually to be working on this law. And I swear every time I'm looking at mini toiletry shampoo bottles or things like that, I actually smell Windex and Ajax and all of the other things that I used to clean the many, many bathrooms with. So just a fun tidbit, hopefully, for you all. But enough about me and on to today's presentation. I highly encourage attendees to ask their questions during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. But like Andy mentioned, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. We just won't get to them until the end. No matter how small you may worry a concern or question might be, we want to hear it. These questions and scenarios help us to better understand how this law will realistically be implemented for you businesses and what barriers exist that we weren't aware of. They help us build our webpage, resources, and communications to lodging establishments who may have the same questions, or those who are on the call today or may be watching the recording later who have the same questions. So as a quick overview, we're going to start big picture with maybe what you've heard generically about what this law is and the intent of the law. And we're going to dive into the definitions so that way we really understand what the law requires. Then discuss the requirements and options for compliance for lodging establishments. Then dive in on the second half of the presentation to Ecology's enforcement processes and the penalty details that are outlined in statute, and then our resources available that we've developed and have for you all, and then end with Q&A. So starting off with our big picture overview, like I said, and what I'm hoping you all have heard a little bit of by now is that beginning January 2027, lodging establishments like hotels, motels, resorts, bed and breakfasts, inns, timeshares, properties, or timeshare properties, short-term rentals, vacation homes, and more may not automatically provide customers with mini toiletries in unit bathrooms or public bathrooms. But what does this mean? And who does this apply to? We'll dive into those details and discuss any questions and scenarios you may want clarity on. So let's talk about why this change is happening. Many personal care product containers have widely been provided in the hospitality industry since at least the 1960s. But these small plastic containers are quite environmentally problematic. Unused products and single-use plastic have a significant environmental footprint, both in creation and in the disposal of the materials. Bottles and containers of products like shampoo, conditioner, or lotion are often only partially used and for a brief amount of time before getting tossed into the garbage. Unlike these plastic bottles, or unlike the larger plastic bottles, like maybe a soda bottle or a larger shampoo bottle, many plastic bottles and tubes are not accepted in recycling programs because even though they're made of the same types of materials, they're too small for the recycling machinery to sort. Plastic containers are also resistant to breaking down in landfills or when they're littered in the environment or escape the trash and wind up as litter through a number of different methods. This causes harm to our ecosystems through microplastics and nanoplastics, and it's very persistent in our environment. This law falls under Chapter 70A245 in the Revised Code of Washington, or RCW, titled Recycling, Waste, and Litter Reduction. Sections under this chapter focus on waste reduction of the most problematic materials and increasing post-consumer recycled content in consumer goods. This specific law, the Mini Toiletries law, its focus is to address the problems we just discussed on the previous slide and to reduce personal care and product single-use packaging waste and the potential for pollution of the packaging if the packaging is improperly disposed of. This law achieves this and that focus on reduction of those items by requiring lodging establishments to intervene with processes or equipment to ensure that customers take only what they want or need. Before we dive into all of the requirements of the law, I want to provide the definitions that we discussed earlier because it'll help you better understand what the law means. Firstly, the law defines lodging establishment as an establishment that contains one or more sleeping room accommodations that are rented or otherwise provided to the public, including but not limited to the list that you see here: a hotel, motel, resort, bed and breakfast, inn, timeshare property, short-term rental, or vacation rental. Also, short-term rental is defined in another statute within Washington. Many of you are probably familiar with this, but it's a lodging use that is not a hotel or motel or bed or breakfast, in which a dwelling unit or portion thereof is offered or provided to a guest by a short-term rental operator for a fee for fewer than 30 consecutive nights. So I think we usually see this and think some of those larger online rental capacities, Airbnb, Vrbo, those kinds of vacation rentals, short-term rentals also fall under this law. Under this law, lodging establishment does not include a hospital, nursing home, residential retirement community, a prison, jail, homeless shelter, boarding school, worker housing, or long-term rental. When we say lodging establishment does not include, what we mean is that these facilities and entities are not required to comply with the regulations of the Mini Toiletries and Lodgings Law. So now that we know who's considered a lodging establishment under the law, what does a mini personal care or a beauty product actually mean and what's included in that? Well, mini toiletries are defined under this law by two key characteristics: the type of personal health and beauty product that it is, and the packaging that it's in. We'll cover what's considered a personal health and beauty product in just a few slides, but what really drives this law is the packaging type. If the packaging is made of plastic or has plastic in it and is less than 6 ounces or 177.4 milliliters, then the packaging is restricted. This includes packaging that's made of other material types but has plastic in it too, like a metal foil pouch, as we're seeing here on the left, a paper wrapper that has a secondary plastic lining, like what we're seeing on the right, or a cardboard box with a plastic window, like we see in the middle image. The personal health and beauty products under this law are very clearly defined under the law language. It's very, very specific, which is nice, as shampoo and conditioner, body wash and shower gel, soap, whether that's liquid or bar, lotion, which was before, sorry for my series here, and hand sanitizer. These are the only personal health and beauty products that are under that law that are restricted when they are in plastic packaging. This does not include items like shower caps and toothbrushes, cotton swabs or cotton rounds, makeup remover cloths, or anything else from this list or outside of that previous list that we saw. Non-restricted personal health or beauty product means these items can be automatically supplied to guests regardless of the packaging type and the size of the item. So to recap, I kind of created this formula that I'm hoping provides some scenarios and a little bit more clarity for folks. If you are a business, a lodging establishment that fits the lodging establishment definition that we discussed, you supply units or public bathrooms with personal health or beauty products, as we saw in that lineup, and as it's defined in the law, that are less than 6 ounces, so 5.9 or less. Those products are packaged in plastic. So we're looking at the bubbles here. Then those products are restricted from automatic distribution. When I say automatic distribution, that means pre-stocking a room so that it's ready for guests when they arrive, or having it just available to guests in public bathrooms in, say, the lobby or in a spa area. However, if any of these criteria are not the case, if it doesn't match any of these, then the product is not restricted from automatic distribution or being stocked in units or public restrooms. So let's dive into some examples. A hotel is pre-stocking a room for upcoming guests with a bar of soap that's in paper or cardboard packaging that's not lined with plastic. That's allowed. And the reason why that's allowed is because the packaging type does not have plastic. And even though it's a small piece there, it's a small toiletry that matches all of the other bubbles, it doesn't meet that last one that says plastic packaging. Another example, a resort has bathroom vanity kits containing cotton swabs, makeup remover cloths, and foil pouches, and shower caps that are also packaged in plastic. That's allowed because the items in plastic aren't considered personal health or beauty products that are restricted under this law. A third example, a ski chalet vacation rental has specialty branded lotion in plastic tubes that are approximately 12 ounces in volume. This is allowed because the lotion is bigger than the less than 6 ounce requirement. So all of these are still allowed. We'll look at just 3 more. A bed and breakfast. A bed and breakfast is pre-stocking a room for upcoming guests with shower gel in 100% post-consumer recycled content bottles. The bottles are 5.8 ounces each. That's not allowed because the packaging is in plastic, no matter what the recycled content is. And it also checks the fact that this is a lodging establishment. It is one of the covered personal health or beauty products, and it is less than 6 ounces. Another example, a motel also has bathroom vanity kits, and they're pre-stocking these rooms with them, which contain cotton swabs, makeup remover cloths and foil pouches, and lotion in plastic tubes but the plastic tubes is 6 ounces. That's allowed because per the requirement of the law, it's less than 6 ounces, not 6 ounces exactly. So long as it's 6 ounces and above, even if it's in plastic packaging, it is allowed. Also, that would be a mighty large vanity kit. Last example, a VRBO rental owner has a stockpile of shampoo and conditioner from their travels that has never been opened These are in plastic tubes or bottles, and the owner wants to stash these as options for guests under the sink. Each is approximately 1 ounce in volume or size. This is not allowed because no matter where you stock these items, if the guest has access to it without having to request for it, and it checks all of these boxes, then it's not allowed to automatically distribute. So now we have a better idea of what exactly a personal care and beauty product is, or personal health and beauty product, what a lodging establishment means and does not mean, the size requirements, and the packaging restrictions. Let's discuss what options exist for lodging establishments. There are two main options lodging establishments can choose between to comply with this law: requiring guests to ask for the mini toiletries they need, or converting to refillable dispensers in units and/or public bathrooms. So let's talk a little bit further about these two options. For those of you who are familiar with this law, or this law is similar to one that restaurants have to abide by, called the Single-Use Serviceware Law. This means that essentially it's an on-request law. Lodging establishments cannot automatically provide the restricted personal health and beauty items to guests by pre-stocking bathrooms with them, but guests can still ask for them and receive them from the lodging establishment. This request process can take a few different forms depending on the needs and desires of the lodging establishment. For online reservations, lodging establishments could provide guests a way to pre-request the specific toiletries they would like in their units. This could mimic the way restaurants ask customers for their online orders if they want silverware or sauce packets. At in-person check-ins, hotels could have toiletries behind the front desk to provide guests them if they want them and if the guest asks for them, or staff members can prompt the guest asking and stating a new law exists in Washington. We're not allowed to pre-stock your bathroom with these. Would you like any of the following? And if the guest says yes, and to which ones, then you can give them to them. If you want to have personal health and beauty products already in rooms or public bathrooms for your guests, lodging establishments can update guest rooms or public bathrooms with reusable containers that can be refilled with personal care products. Please note, this is not a requirement of the law. This is an environmentally preferred option for businesses, which could save costs by reducing waste volume and preventing usable products from being thrown away. This also reduces plastic packaging from being disposed of, saving that volume both in your trash and in the landfill. And it's just a better management process. That being said, we have heard from some that there are concerns about guests tampering with refillable dispensers and contaminating the products stored within. We have also heard that the cost to switch to this is a financial burden that they can't bear. What I want to remind folks of is that this option, refillable dispensers, it's an option. It is not a requirement of this law. Creating an on-request process, like we discussed in the previous slide, for your guests and with your staff is also in compliance with this law. For those also not concerned about financial, but concerned with tampering, there are many models that exist that are tamper safe. They require locks that only your housekeeping will have that can open them and refill the dispensers. This law has two phases of adoption, depending on how many units your individual lodging establishment facility has. Those with 50 or more lodging units must comply with this law beginning January 1st of 2027. Establishments with less than 50 units must comply beginning January 1st of 2028. Okay, I think I've thrown a lot of information at you, and now we've discussed the requirements. What we're about to dive into is the enforcement processes that Ecology will take. So how will Ecology know if a business is out of compliance with the law, right? We can't be everywhere. Full transparency, this is a single person implementation for the state. And so I can't be everywhere. And the law also doesn't provide funding for us to do in-person audits, anything like that. As per the law language, the enforcement of this law must be primarily based on complaints filed with Ecology. Ecology will launch an online reporting form for filing complaints, and any person can use it beginning January 1st of 2027. We can also receive complaints through phone calls, social media responses, email, or otherwise, and transfer these complaints to our online form with the permission of the complainant. A link will be posted on our webpage under an informational banner, similar to the one that you're seeing on the bottom left of this slide. Under this, you'll be able to follow the hyperlink to the reporting form where the complainant will be able to provide details, see details on the law and what the law requires to better understand if their complaint is in fact valid. We will be asking information about the reporter, the violation, and what types of products were given out, when it happened, all of that. How the products were distributed. We also ask that information so that way we can educate the business when we're doing our outreach. And we ask for the lodging establishment's information, which we then cross-reference with the Department of Revenue to contact you. When reports are submitted to Ecology, we review for authenticity and ensuring that the reports that are issued are in fact a violation of the law. If not, we respond to the reporter to notify them why the report does not warrant enforcement actions. An example of why a report might not be valid is if a lodging establishment's on tribal lands. This law does not apply to businesses on tribal lands or businesses run by tribal governments. Another example of an invalid report would be if someone was filing a complaint about a product that is not covered under this law, like having their room pre-stocked with a shower cap or a makeup remover cloth. However, once we deem a report to be valid, Ecology will follow the enforcement procedures outlined on this slide. For a first report of noncompliance, Ecology will make a technical assistance phone call to the lodging establishment and issue an educational letter about the law and the violation report that we received. During the phone call, we will ensure that management understands the law, that Ecology staff will clarify any misunderstandings that exist, and outline what corrective actions should happen to be in compliance with the law moving forward. The letter will be mailed on the same day or shortly after the technical assistance phone call, and that mailing of the letter will start a 30-day window when new reports about that business are not, we don't take action on them to give the business 30 days to come into compliance and make the appropriate corrective actions. However, if we receive another complaint after that 30-day window, we would move on to the second report of noncompliance step here. Ecology staff will verify the violation by phone call, over email, or in person. Once the second violation is verified, we will issue a notice of violation sent to the lodging establishment by certified mail. Just like between report 1 and report 2, the business will have 30 days to correct the action before Ecology can take enforcement action on new reports of noncompliance. If a third report is received after that second 30-day window, Ecology will verify the violation, and if the violation is found to be valid, we will pursue actions to issue a civil penalty. So what's the civil penalty? Penalties are unlikely, and Ecology's first measure of bringing businesses into compliance with our laws are education and technical assistance, like we discussed in steps 1 and steps 2. However, like we also previously discussed, continued noncompliance can face penalties. Under this law, penalties can be issued up to $500 per day each day the lodging establishment is out of compliance with the law, and it cannot exceed $2,000 annually. In addition to our educational letters that will be sent for valid reports of noncompliance, Ecology has developed an educational webpage, printable flyers, and a subscription-based email distribution list to help lodging establishments understand the requirements of this law and can keep them updated on any new resources or information. The flyer has been translated into the top 6 most commonly spoken languages throughout Washington state, which are Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, Russian, and Ukrainian. These translated flyers are also available on our webpage for download, which I'll show you here in a moment. Ecology staff are also a resource for you, and we're always happy to help. That's primarily going to be me or someone who's helping to back me up if things get busy. So reach out, ask your questions. We want to hear from you. If you have concerns or barriers that we haven't thought of, we want to know about it, especially before the time for compliance is active. So between now and January 1st of either 2027 or 2028, depending on how big your lodging establishment is. So this is a quick screenshot video, similar to the other one, of what the webpage looks like and where you'll find resources. You can see that we have quite a bit of information on the requirements for compliance. You can also see the law language or join our webpage or our email distribution list at those 2 links towards the top. It discusses the problems with single-use plastics and alternatives that exist. And then we do have accordion style frequently asked questions at the bottom of the webpage. This goes into most of the questions we've heard thus far, but we can continue to build this out. So again, like I mentioned, please ask us questions. We want to make sure that information is available to everyone, and especially for things we haven't discussed. And then at the top in this informational banner is where you'll find our resources through those hyperlinks. This is what our flyer looks like. It's a 2-pager, quite colorful. We are trying to use a lot of graphics to make sure that it's easily understood of what we're requiring for folks. And again, each one has been translated and verified in the 6 languages. So those are resources available to you and your staff. We highly recommend that you print these out, share them with your staff if that's helpful for educating and assisting your processes in whichever route you want to take. So it's going to be a little redundant, but the next steps for you all after this webinar and after we have our Q&A is to check with your branding guide and specialists to ensure that this law doesn't conflict with internal policies or your purchasing practices. Consider which route for compliance best suits your needs and the needs of your lodging establishment, whether that's an on-request policy or refillable dispensers. There's also, I should mention, that secret third option, which is don't provide them anything. That is an option you have. I don't think any of you will want to pursue that, but that's what I mean when I say there's 2 main options. There are sub others, and I'm sure there will be more as we discuss, but those are the 2 main compliance options, is on request or refillable dispensers. Communicate with housekeeping staff and front of desk staff about the requirements and which processes you all will be adopting. Download the flyers and distribute to the staff as needed, or hang them up in your break rooms wherever staff will see them and can better understand the law that's coming. And then help us spread the word and reach out to us with any questions you may have. QR codes are important, especially when this is a presentation and you don't have access to the links. You will once the slides are sent to you all, and I can put them in the chat shortly after I'm done presenting. But scan the top QR code if you want to go to our webpage and see that information that we have available to you and the flyers, or scan the bottom QR code to stay up to date on any of our updates that we send to you, whether that's changes in the law that may come through next legislative session, you never know, or other resources we develop, other webinar opportunities, anything along those lines. And that's it. If you have questions, this is another means of contacting me. You can reach me at toiletrieslaw@ecy.wa.gov. That sends directly to one of my many email boxes. And Again, I'll pop the links to the actual web pages and things into the chat. And this is my phone number. Feel free to contact me. All right. Do we have any
Excellent.
questions?
Yeah, thank you, Heather. Appreciate what a fantastic presentation and laying everything out all just nice and eloquently there. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, we do have several questions that have come in. So if you're
Great.
game for that, I'll tee them up for you. Um, a couple I'll scan through quickly because I think you already answered them during the presentation, but folks were asking anyways. Makeup remover wipes. You did cover that in your slide, but those are not covered under this law, so those are still okay. Um,
Correct.
there was a question about sharing information that we can provide so that the hotel operators can share with their operations manager. So yes, you saw the last couple of slides there. Information available on the Ecology website. I'll also put a plug in for the association's Going Green Toolkit. This is a toolkit that members can access on our website that has this information as well as other information related to all environmental and plastic related laws in Washington State. So be sure to check out our Going Green Toolkit. I'll have Raquel paste that into the chat as well. And we link to a lot of the resources that Ecology provides on their website. So let's dive into a couple of questions here. One, and this came up with you mentioned the single use serviceware law earlier. Similar question was asked at that time. Is there a grace period to use up existing stock?
There is not, but I mean, as far as the caveat goes, the existing stock you have, you can still use it. You just have to require that guest ask for it. So if you have box like in a full storage room full of these mini toiletries because you've ordered them in advance, as many hotels do, you can still use them and provide them to guests. You just, during the time that you're using those up, you have to implement an on request process for them and policy for the guests. Um, so it's a little unique. That is the grace period, but you cannot continue to automatically stock rooms with them.
Excellent. Thank you. Um, Another question came in, and can we start this now before the deadline? Uh,
Yes, we'd love for you
yep.
to. That brings you into compliance and you don't even have to worry about the law implementation dates.
Yep. And having been a guest at many hotels in Washington State, I can personally vouch that many hotels have already transferred over to these options. So yes, feel free to start now if you would like. Um, Let's see what else we got here. So we got a couple of questions here. These ones might be a little bit above both of our pay grades, but I'm gonna toss them your way anyways and see if you want to
Sure.
potentially answer as a employee of the Department of Ecology. The first one here, is it possible for the state to decide on using waste bin liners for hotel guest rooms? The reason I'm asking is because my brand does not allow trash bin liners, but some guests expect them, which can lead to some
Mhm.
complaints from guests. Once Washington State mandates waste bin liners in guest rooms, this will help all lodging operators. So, has there been any discussion in your department around that issue?
No, waste bin liners often require like a plastic film, right? It's a trash bag. I'm guessing is what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And so those are more helpful. I think if a law were to be passed, I'm not sure, was this in the Q&A versus the chat?
It was in the Q&A. Yeah.
Okay. Um, my lovely anonymous attendee who asked this, my recommendation is, so Department of Ecology does not write these laws. In fact, we have very limited input on how they're written and introduced and passed. Um, what I would recommend is if that has been a problem for you and your lodging establishments, if you're worried or concerned that, say, if you don't have the liner and the trash is getting everywhere, it's causing a littering problem, reach out to your representatives, your legislatures, your Senate members, and discuss this with them. They'd have more power than Department of Ecology to pass a law like this. And the requirement for having that extra plastic and a containment process for your trash would need to be shown in some way, I imagine, of whether that's litter or say it's attracting mice or other vectors that you don't want. Um, that's my recommendation is try to reach out to those folks who may have a little bit more sway and come prepared with some reasons for why it would be necessary for it to be applicable statewide.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no, definitely thinking along similar lines. Thanks, Heather. So, next question: do single-use bath bombs in plastic count?
I haven't thought about bath bombs. And also, I'm really curious as to what lodging establishment this is because I want a bath bomb. Um, I don't have an answer for you on that right now. If you are willing to subscribe to our email list, which for those of you who are subscribed, I also want to apologize real quick. We had a glitch with Ecology recently where some information that was not relevant to toiletries was sent out through that email list. That will not happen again. It has been discussed. You'll never receive unwanted information through that channel again. But if you subscribe there, we will make sure to answer that question in a further email there and or continue to check on our website. That's the exact kind of question we want to get. I haven't thought of bath bombs. I don't know if legally they would be considered soap. Something tells me not. That tells me that I'm going to have this discussion with my attorney general's office. This is how it goes. Um, you'll find out more information on our webpage or through our distribution list later. Thank you for that question.
All right, we stumped the
Oh,
expert. I love it. That's
you
excellent.
did.
So, yes,
Also,
that's
I
great.
forgot that I'm still sharing. Am I still sharing?
I think you are. Yeah, actually. Yep. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I was looking on a different screen, so I missed that. But
yeah, me too.
yes,
Sorry, y'all.
but yeah, thank you for that question. And yeah, we will follow up and get that answer for you. Another
Wonderful.
question that came in through the Q&A. This one says, hypothetically, a hotel can have a request as part of their booking process and
Hmm.
also keep the items behind the desk for on-demand requests, and then place cards in the rooms, letting guests know that they're complying with Washington state law. So the rooms are not stocked with the now prohibited items. However, they are available on demand for request from the front desk. Does this does this meet the requirements of the law?
It sure does. We would love to see that process come into play. Something actually that I will retort back to this group and the attendees here, which I'm grateful to you all. If you want to put this into the chat, that would be great. Just a yes or a no. Would it be helpful? We had a small work group to help us design these flyers of contacts that we have through lodging establishments. So that's why they look this way. They're much better than what Ecology could have created on our own. Um, during that process, we asked originally, would it be helpful for us to create a template for you all for those kind of place cards that says, hey, this is a Washington law. If you want these materials that are restricted, ask the front desk. Would you like a template like that? And if I'm seeing some yeses in the chat, which is great. This is helpful for me because we have heard in the past that certain hotels are required to use their branding guidelines and certain restrictions. I believe that may be only necessary for the larger hotels, but I don't know that for certain because I'm not a lodging establishment specialist. But I'm seeing quite a few yeses, one no, which is helpful to know too, that it's not helpful for everyone. Um, so yeah, brand standard, no materials can be present. Has this been approved? I think that might be dependent on your different hotel establishments, but for maybe those that aren't bound by branding standards, possibly it would be helpful. That's what I'm seeing in the chat. Veronica, if you have any more information that you want to send me as far as those brand standards and things that Ecology should be aware of, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and if there's an opportunity for the association to assist with this as well too, we'd love to
Great.
help you. Anything we can do to help with compliance and help make our lodging operators' lives a little easier. So that's why we are here. Um,
Wonderful.
Question came in, do the guests have to sign anything? Do they have to sign something in order to get the mini bottles from the front desk?
Nope. Nope. So long as it's a fairly informal process, as you've seen. It's mostly a making sure that you're asking. And then if we were to come in, if of Ecology was to come in, we were told that, we receive a notification of violation. We would come in, discuss with your managers, like what is your process for educating your staff, training your staff to make sure that they're requesting these process or requesting that your guests are requesting these items from your staff or that your staff is prompting them. As long as we were to see that in maybe your training materials or have some sort of policy outlined, we're going to believe you. We know ecology is also not in the process or in the business of, we want to support Washington businesses and we want to help you come into compliance with these laws that the legislature passes in the easiest ways possible that are effective for the actual intent of the law. So we're not going to make you require guests to sign for these and then keep these in a backlog for a year. That is not necessary. As long as you have a process in place, you have training, we'll be working with you. And like you saw as well, it would take 2 violations for us to ever move forward with a penalty. We would also need to show, from Ecology's perspective, the violations, like verification of those violations from our side to show that you are actually continuing to do that non-compliance. So we'll be working with you until you prove us otherwise, if that makes sense.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Heather. We have a couple of questions that have come in regarding in like your coordination with other state agency inspectors, and one in particular referencing that the Department of Health requires plastic planters for ice buckets. So, can you shine a little bit of light, if you know, on sort of how Ecology coordinates with
Health
other agency
inspectors.
inspectors? Yeah.
Well, this work hasn't been given to the Department of Health. This, as per the statute language, which I can also plop that in the chat here in a second, to the link to the statute language, the implementation process is on the Department of Ecology to implement. We don't have inspectors that routinely come and inspect you. We may work and create partnerships with health inspectors to provide information to you all about this law, but it's unlikely that we're going to be like, we don't have any authority to require Department of Health inspectors to be enforcing on this law or to be reporting on behalf of this law. So you may receive information from them, or they may electively choose to report if they've seen mini toiletries in a room as they're inspecting for ice buckets, but it would be elective.
Excellent. Question came in as well too in the chat, and this kind of touches on the compliance piece of it a little bit. One of my main concerns is about disgruntled guests filing fraudulent complaints. So maybe just touch a little bit more on sort of your or reiterate your plan to sort of do the investigation and be able to sort of find out what the facts are before any sort of issues or rulings are laid out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we discussed earlier in the slides, our first, like it, say a guest were to say that you were providing shampoo, conditioner, and lotion when you shouldn't be, you're pre-stocking those rooms. That report is valid because it checks all of our boxes to contact you. However, if we were to contact you, you provide all the information that shows our staff are trained not to do this. We are aware that this law exists. We are in compliance, or that's a fraudulent one. We have dispensers. You're able to show me photos of those things. It would take a lot for us to have to move forward with any sort of further compliance. Again, if we received another complaint saying a similar thing, we would come to your facility, maybe do an inspection, and that would prove to us you're following the rules of this law. And from there forward, anytime we would have to make anytime we would need to validate the violation, we would not be able to validate that violation because you're not in violation, and therefore we wouldn't move forward with further corrective actions.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, and that is usually the case with most state and local agencies, right? Focus on educational awareness first, right? It's not that, a complaint comes in first, maybe it's even valid and day one, here's the fine, right? Like that's what I took from your
It's
presentation is it's emphasis
no,
on
we
education, right? Yep.
absolutely. We want to work with you to better understand this law. We don't like giving penalties. Penalties are a large hassle for ecology, and we don't like doing it, especially to our local businesses that help our economy thrive. We just want compliance.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so next one. I want to make sure we are understanding that the guest can still request the mini bottles of soap or lotions. We can still provide the product. Uh,
Yes.
oh, and there was a question about signing, which you already answered, but yes, through the front desk process, right? Guests can still receive those on request.
Gotcha. Yes. All of that is still on brand. That's still in compliance with this law. Just make sure that you have a request process for your guests.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Let's see, got a couple different screens going on here, so I'm just seeing
I
if I
know,
missed
I do too.
any.
I
Uh,
see a few different ones. One that
oh yeah,
just came
feel
in
free.
from
Yeah.
Veronica about coffee cups. Anything that's not on that list of covered products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash or shower gel, hand and body wash soap, lotion, and hand sanitizer. Anything outside of that is not covered under this law. Cups, not covered under this law. You're good to go. Serviceware, like forks, knives, spoons that you have with a buffet for breakfast in the morning, not covered under this law. So don't worry about that or other
Question.
laws that I'm aware of.
Great. Question came in about links for trainings that they can give to staff. I don't know about trainings. I'm going to look into that. That's another department at the
Yeah,
association, so I'm happy to look into that and follow up with the group here to see if there's any training materials available. Certainly, though, links to the resources both on the Ecology's Department of Ecology's website as well as our own. We'll be happy to share that far and wide today and throughout the initial transition period for coming into compliance with this law. But yeah, great question. Does Ecology have anything on the training front?
we have
That
the flyer, which
yeah,
covers all of the requirements. However, again, if you have a large staff that you would like us to do a presentation, this presentation or a shorter presentation to discuss the requirements and what they need to do to comply, we're happy to come in and give that. That's part of our technical assistance. Just reach out to us. We'll see if we can schedule a virtual presentation. Or if you're in Spokane, I can do it in person. But state does have travel bans right now, so I can't
yeah,
come very far.
yeah, yeah, excellent. Yeah, and yeah, thank you for that offer. And certainly, if we hear any of our members looking to do a similar training with you, I'll be happy to pass that information along as well. So.
Great.
Here's an interesting question that just came in. Can items be available in, for example, baskets on the front counter for self-selection? So not necessarily asking directly the front desk person, but it's available at the front desk. Can they just come up and grab one off the front desk?
It's a great question and one that I was diving into pretty heavily last night with my supervisors and different staff at Ecology. If you look at the statute language, it's incredibly specific. So while this law is similar to that single-use serviceware law for restaurants, and they are allowed to provide self-serve stations, that law tells them that they can do that as an option. The law for the Mini Toiletries and Lodgings Law, RCW 70A245140, it's specific that it says on request. Guests must request these items. And so that active requesting says that we do not want lodging establishments to be providing the like pick your own adventure baskets or a self-serve station for guests because it wouldn't fall under what we interpret as a request.
Yeah. And to
So
sort of follow that logic a little bit further, right? That wouldn't be too far different from the items being in the hotel in the rooms as well,
yeah,
too. So yeah,
it
yeah, that
it
makes
is a
sense.
shame because that could be it could save lodging establishments that extra step, especially for, say, night shifts, late entry guests, and things like that. But unfortunately, there does have to be some sort of request and validation process.
Yeah, excellent. And just to double check and making sure that we heard you correctly, this law does not apply to establishments on tribal land. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They are sovereign
So,
nations, sovereign governments. We cannot tell them what to do, and Washington's legislature does not have power over them.
and one I missed earlier, sorry for scrolling over this one from an anonymous attendee. This one says hotel plus 1.9 ounces soap bar plus flow wrapper equals restricted from
Hmm.
automatic distribution, correct?
Blow wrapper. That's a terminology, a term I don't know. I'm going to see if I can't Google that real quick to provide
Okay,
an answer.
fair enough. And we do have a few more minutes, folks. If you got questions, feel free to keep plugging them in here. This is excellent. We appreciate
Yes, thank you so much.
the interaction here. Yeah, and just a reminder, because I'm still seeing some of these come in, this will be recorded. This will be posted to our website as soon as we can have that available, most likely later this week, probably not today, but later this week, along with the presentation materials and various
Um,
other links to help you stay compliant, become in compliance with the new law. Did that stall enough for you to Google, Heather?
it did. So what I'm seeing as flow wrappers is this. What we normally see as wrappers, the same kind of wrappers you might find on candy, individually wrapped candy or snacks and things like that. Um, yes, correct. That is not allowed.
Okay.
Again, because that falls your lodging establishment. It's falling within that size restriction, and it's a bar of soap, which is the type of material or the type of product, and the flow wrapper is plastic. So correct.
Yep. And another
Great
question just
question.
actually came in on the exact, yeah, confirming that a bar of soap is part of the law if it's in a plastic wrap of some kind. Yep. Okay.
Correct. And I know that we have heard from many lodging establishments that it is required for there to be a bar of soap, not just a pump hand soap or anything like that in hotel rooms. My my suggestion to you, if you can't get around that branding requirement, is to look for bars of soap that are in paper or like a chipboard, cardboard box. They do exist. They are a little more expensive because that packaging is more expensive. But if your branding guides require that, you would need to talk with your branding guides about complying in those ways.
Yeah. Yeah, actually a question just came in, but I think you just answered it, right? So what kind of materials are compliant would be the paper and cardboard box type stuff, recyclable, fully recyclable materials. Yeah.
Yep. Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
And again, kind of a quick clip, another plug for members and non-members if you are interested in getting more information about how to comply with this law. We want to encourage you to reach out to the association, specifically your territory manager. This is why they are here. They are here to serve you. Think of them as an extension of your staff. So when you have these kinds of questions, you're not quite sure answer to this, answer to that, your territory manager should be one of your first phone calls. If you're not sure who that person is, we have, I think, nine now, 9 or 10 spread. They all live in communities all across the state, so they're there to work for you. We're going to put a link in the chat here. You can click on the link, go to our website, and you'll see um, you can look up who your territory manager is and see who that person is. So be sure to give them an email, a phone call. They're happy to assist you and connecting you with the right resources, whether that's a toolkit of ours, whether that's connecting you with Heather or one of our allied members, right? We want to make sure we provide the best possible resources for you to be in compliance with the law. With that,
I,
oh, sorry.
just
Yeah,
had
go ahead,
two
Heather.
other
Yep.
questions that I just want to quickly
Oh,
touch on in the
yes,
chat.
absolutely. Go ahead.
Sarah, the reason why vanity kits and the items in there are not included, such as Q-tips or cotton swabs and things like that, the reason why anything was not included beyond this list is because likely of negotiations during the legislative process. Um, you'd have to go to the legislatures and dig back into those files to see why certain items were not included. So sorry, I don't have a better information for you. If you reach out to Zero Waste Washington, who I believe led this law and it's kind of carried through and helped find sponsors for it, they may have better answers for you. And then as far as what packaging is allowed, instead of just showing what's not allowed for bars of soap, just an example real quick and what we tried to show on our flyers with that brown box around the soap is something similar to, they might not let me. Just kidding. I'm government. I can't click on things. Something like this, right? Where it's a chipboard or even something like this. Like it doesn't have to be natural looking necessarily. It just needs to be made of paper, or like we call it chipboard, because it's more like cardstock. It's a little bit thicker than your typical office paper. You could go as far as having this, so long as that window doesn't have plastic in it. This one looks like it does. This is fine. These would be well worth it. Again, we might also be able to see, I mean, they're a little bit more expensive sometimes, but like this looks like it's just a paper wrap. Sometimes they have wax on it to help keep it moisture resistant. It's not plastic, it's wax. That would be fine as well. Something like this. All of those are valid and allowed.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for pulling that up there, Heather. Appreciate that. So with that, we are out of time, so we want to respect folks' time. We're at 11 o'clock here. Thank you again for everyone joining us today. This was very informative, I know for me, hopefully for several folks here as well. Again, a reminder, we'll have all these materials out up on our website, and be sure to check your email later this week. We'll have a recap of everything, all the resources you need to stay compliant. Heather, thank you so much for joining us today. This was great, and thank you for being a resource to our industry and helping us stay in compliance with the new laws coming into effect here
Of
shortly.
course. Yeah, thank you
Uh,
all. Thank you for the great questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you all again. Have a good day, and we hope we see you on our next webinar. Care.
Wonderful. Thanks all.